Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to June's meeting of the Exec Committee. Before we get going, I just want to read out a couple of things. I wish to inform all present that this meeting will be recorded. In the interest of transparency and openness, the recording will be made publicly available following the meeting. Any member of the public who does not wish their participation to be included in the published recording is requested to make this known to the chair before speaking. So are you both happy to? Yeah, lovely, thank you very much. Public comment. So
I believe you're both here for the grants, aren't you?
just the grant, okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. So
Steve,
anything you public comment? No, thank you. Okay, so moving into the agenda proper then. So item 11/376, apologies for absence and to consider the reasons given.
Yes, Chair, I have Councillor Wes Reed, who has a conflicting engagement, Councillor Roy Spinner for personal reasons, and Councillor Dave Wone with a conflicting engagement.
Okay, we all have,
everybody accounted for that.
okay, everybody happy to accept those apologies?
please.
Thank you. Item 11/377, declarations of interest. Members to declare any interest, including disclosable pecuniary interest, DPI, they may have in the agenda items that accord with the requirements of the Town Council's Code of Conduct, and to consider any requests from members for dispensations that accord with the Localism Act 2011, subsection 33B and E. Yes, Rob?
Yeah, Chair, I'd like to declare an interest on 11/379 grants in as much as Yeovil Without Parish Council is mentioned. However, I don't sit on the grants committee on Yeovil Without Parish Council, so I will comment.
Okay. Jenny?
Grants again, Westland Sports Football Club. My daughter's team has just moved there.
Okay.
And I know the gentleman who's put the grant in.
Okay, it was just personal interest.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
Well,
No?
the new goals are for my daughter's team.
Okay,
And I'll just
okay, it's still a personal interest, so, yeah,
The same room.
yeah. Okay. 11/378 minutes to approve as a correct record the minutes of the meeting held on 31st of March 2026 and the 12th of May 2026. So has everybody read the minutes?
Agreed.
Agreed.
Sure, each page is
Yeah.
the last.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Moving on, so the next item, 11/379 grants. Because, excuse me, to consider applications received, a summary can be found on page 7 and the application forms have been circulated separately. So we'll take, there's 3 applications in all, we'll take Sing to Breathe first of all. So an organisation, they're asking for £1,360 to help with delivering an 8-week block of sessions and support the ongoing creation of online video content and exercises for participants. So pushes out to members. Any comments on this? Anybody like to start the ball rolling?
Want to say anything?
Sorry.
I haven't elected to speak, so just I wasn't sure if
Okay. Would you like to come and? Yeah. So if you come up to the small table there, and then
So that's microphone, say to you. Sorry, yes.
Just give you a sort of brief overview of Sing to Breathe. So we've been running for 12 months. In fact, we were encouraged to reapply, and we applied last year. We're encouraged to reapply to see what the benefits would be to Yeovil Town. In that time, we have gone from strength to strength, really. So we've become a charity. During that time, the organisation also operates in Wells and Cheddar and Bridgewater, but we've now got this Yeovil branch. We've got some really strong connections with the local practices now. And we've got, I have a cap of 20 because you have to for working with people with lung conditions. Some people come for an 8-week programme, and then we give them tools for them to go and for self-management. And some people come and they enjoy the social aspect of being among people who've also got lung conditions. So there is this kind of support network that naturally unfolds because they are surrounded by people like them. A lot of them may have also done some pulmonary rehab, and then that ends, and they're kind of left with a diagnosis that's kind of, well, what now? And this is something that's lasting, and we do a lot of work obviously through singing. We've been trained with the musical Breath, which began with lots of research with Dr. Adam Lewis and a lady called Feeney Cave at the Royal Brompton Hospital. And it's all about using singing to extend the out breath, which is really helpful for those people with COPD, for example, and also just helps that top up breaths and using that abdominal breath as well. And everything is structured in a way, so we have some relaxation. We have some gentle movement because it's really important, because when you're frightened of being breathless, you often stay still. Actually, that's not very good for you. So it brings in that gentle movement, and then into some breathing exercises, and then into more extended songs where they are actually extending that out breath. We've got, through our members, I had a look, so we're actually full now, and I've got a waiting list, which is great. So I've got a waiting list now, but our members are, I would say, I've got 22 on my list, and I think 18 of those are completely from Yeovil, and we've got some that are coming just from neighbouring sort of South Somerset villages. So that's kind of where we are, and it gives an overview of what we do. So the funding itself would support the continuation of a block of sessions, but also the creation of content which we can then share with our members so they can extend that in between sessions as well. Because I know lots of the second bits of research that they want to do is about what impact does it have on those individuals not needing to go, not feeling that they need to go and call on the GP. Actually, they've got some techniques that they can use. So it's just, and that's the kind of next bit of sort of research nationally that they're kind of looking at. Hopefully that gives you enough of an overview. Okay.
Thank you. Members, comments? Rena?
Then we asked you to see the waiting list. How long will someone be on a waiting list? So say it's an 8-week programme, and then they go away afterwards with information.
So the waiting list is quite a new thing. So the waiting list has just come on. What we're trying to look at is what we can do with those members that have been with us for a while, enjoying the social aspects. Can we provide a group that's for them, and then have another group that's for our new ones that are coming through?
Yeah.
So and that's something we're kind of, as we grow, need to work on what that model looks like. So we are thinking about doing some online work, which will work for some members, but some who are not technical, it won't.
Excellent.
So yes, yeah.
I know people come and it benefits a lot from it. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Karen?
We're able to ask questions, just start with me. First, is this money entirely available of this?
Yes.
And are you seeking funding from some of the parish councils, which you said something?
Yes, so we're going to go from that and as well. And yes, it's targeted for people.
So they are awaiting decisions from both of those councils.
Report. Anybody else? Okay, so does anybody like to make a proposal on this? Karina, you like to propose? Yeah. Anybody second that? Okay, so we've got a proposal for Karina to award grant, seconded by Tariff. All those in favour? Again? Abstention? Oh, okay. Didn't see the hands for that.
Adrian is
Oh, right, okay, sorry, fine. Of course you didn't know. Okay, that's that one. Okay, so next is the Yeovil and Sherborne and District MS Group. And I believe got a gentleman here who would like to say something on that. It's an organisation, they're looking for £1,000 to support residents of Yeovil and surrounding areas living with multiple sclerosis. So over to you, sir.
I've had to write my name, so I can't remember it all. Good evening, Chair and Councillors. Thank you for inviting me along today. My name is Simon Woodland. I am the Group Coordinator for the Yeovil Sherborne and District MS Group. I was diagnosed with MS, so I know what it is myself firsthand. Tonight, I would like to tell you a little bit about our group. We started off in the early 1980s as a small group meeting in Yeovil Hospital. And now we have over 150 members. Our aim is simple, to ensure that nobody has to face MS alone. For at that time, volunteers have worked tirelessly to raise funds, organise events and provide support to those who need it most. Currently, there is no cure. It's what we do. We organise monthly social events, a chance for people living with MS and their carers to meet and socialise, and reduce isolation. We offer information and support, helping people access services, benefits, equipment and specialist advice. We help with grants, financial assistance. One of the most important things we do is listen to what local people affected with MS need. If a member approaches us for help, we always look into their request to see whether there is a way we can assist. This may include providing a grant supporting them to either or help them and point them into other organisations. In the past, we have helped with items such as mobility aids, adapted equipment, disabled friendly cutlery, simple things like that. On to the next bit. Including what we offer. We do monthly socials. We meet once a month at Weston's Sports Leisure Complex. We've just set up a weekly exercise group at Weston's Gym for seated yoga and classes. And we hold bingo afternoons, which the elderly people like. Shouldn't say that. So I'm trying to get the younger people involved. We also hold a skittling social. You might find that silly as I'm in a wheelchair, but we've got a chute, so I can hold on to the chute, put the ball there and throw it down. We have guest speakers coming along. Next week, 2 weeks time, we have where they bring the dogs along. We have people out in their homes. They're doing a talk. But this all costs money and the funds are running low. That's why I come tonight asking for your help. We would also be interested in the council could point us in the direction of any other helpful organisations that could help us. Currently, we have Cafe Brillo, was it? Down just round the corner. Mm-hmm. They're doing the month's worth fundraising for us during June. This is on June the 28th, they're doing the Brillo's Got Talent. So if anyone wants to come along, you can sing, tell jokes. I am one of the judges. Pain winner and there's tough reasons the winners.
Big chance, girl. Yeah.
So backhanders, you don't know it. Yeah, basically, that's it.
Very much. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Who'd like to start on this? Who would like to start? Tara?
Same question for me, really. All funding for Yeovil based.
Yeovil Sherborne Group.
Have you tried other parishes, etc. yet?
We're working on it.
Again, that's in the report. They are awaiting decision on that.
I'm quite new to being group coordinator. I'm one of the young
Yeah.
there.
That is the main question.
Sorry, Chair.
Sure, because our policy only says, without a symptom.
Chair.
Have you applied to Sherborne?
Got to, I'm waiting for a reply.
That's very right. Going on.
Yeah. Anywhere else? Tony?
Yeah, I know, I mean, the officers asked the question, I was gonna say, but that's fine, one of them. But, in your total income, that includes 602,000, almost 603,000 from 7 government grants. Can you just throw a little bit light on the specific government grants? You know, what they're free. Sorry?
How much?
6,000.
6,000, Tony.
That's what we have in our kit.
6,000?
Yeah, not 600,000.
We had 600,000, I won't be there.
How many years?
What are you trying to say, switching the lights on? I do apologise.
Tony, the balance at the moment in their main account, or the Yeovil main account, is £5,059.40.
I ignore that at a minute, because
We've gone,
the Sherborne one was the important one.
Right.
I think it should be.
we've gone from 50,000 down to 6,000 now. People, more grants are being asked for. We try to help everyone. Unfortunately, we're having to turn people down.
Okay, Karina?
But I have seen myself, this type of group as well.
Yeah.
And there's no doubt about it, when you are all together and how much support towards one another and, understanding, so,
It's just getting people out of the house, they love them once a month.
it is good fun, this kind of stuff.
Brett?
I was merely going to propose that we give the grant.
Okay, thank you. Tara seconded that. Okay, so sorry,
Just had a quick question. Could you tell me what's your main overhead? Back of,
I think the red at the moment is paying for Westlands once a month. We have to hire the 2 rooms, which is £80 a month.
and do you put on transport?
We don't put on transport at the moment, we're looking into it. We have
That's
to-
why I asked the first question.
And we've got a speaker, the one with the dog sheet going on, that's gonna be £75. That's £150 taken out of that kitty. We're now doing a collection of West, then we're doing a collection as the next month. Yeah, and it seems not everyone carries cash now, do they? Head office are struggling to get us a card reader.
thank you very much. Right, so we've got a proposer and a seconder. All in favour?
Yeah, unanimous.
Thank you very much. Thank you. You're very welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting. But if you've got other things that you'd rather be doing,
It's my cooler.
you're more than happy to get.
Couple of weeks. If I need you a couple of weeks.
Yeah, please. Yes, please. Right, okay, members, so what we'll do while Jackie's seeing these good people out, we'll carry on with the next grant application, which is for Western Sports Football Club Limited. And they're looking for £950 for the purchase of a new football goal for the football club. So there's nobody here to speak on behalf of that. So anybody got any comments on this one?
Proposal.
Yeah, I'm happy to second that, actually. So
Move the recommendations.
is everybody happy to go with that? Yeah, all in favour? Okay. You can't vote.
No.
Did you vote, Carl?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Okay, that's all of those completed, right, so. Next item, 11/380, report from the previous grant applicant. At its meeting held on the 14th of January 2025, the committee awarded 2,325 to the Citizens Advice Somerset as a contribution towards cost of the active service. A report has been submitted outlining the impact of the funding from this award. So I hope you've all read that. Yeah. All happy with that? Any comments on it? Right,
Happy to know.
right. So
No.
just happy to know that, everyone.
Yeah.
Okay, right. 11/381, Yeovil Street Pastors, proposed service level agreement. Members to consider the report by the Chief Executive, Town Clerk, regarding a proposed service level agreement with Yeovil Street Pastors as attached at pages 23 to 27. So, yeah, please.
Okay, so as the report says, we awarded £1,000 to the Yeovil Street Pastors. And at that time, I think that a lot of people felt that they wanted to award more, but only £1,000 was actually applied for. So we suggested a service level agreement. I've met with representatives from the street pastors, and the draft service level agreement is there for you to approve. I have put an annual contribution as the starting point of 3,500 because from reviewing their figures, audited accounts from 2025, they have a shortfall of 3,644. So I think that amount needs to be agreed, whether you want to stick to that amount or whether you want to reduce it. And as I said, all the rest of the information is in that service level agreement, which we have a group kind of sat down with the representatives from the street pastors. So if you're happy with it, they are happy with it as well.
Actually,
I'd just like to say I've got a conflict, because I know Justice, one of the pastors, he's doing it right now. I didn't know if we needed to put this on the record that we all know Justice and we're going to give a grant for something he's doing. So just wanted to procedural.
Yeah.
It's a personal interest, so you can still give.
That's of interest for everyone, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, right, Graham.
Thank you, Chair. I was one of the advocates for this to come back in this form. I'm happy with it. I'm happy to propose it.
Okay, well, the committee is recommended to note the report and to consider the draft service level agreement and proposed amount of 3,500. So I want to get to that point first before we. Yeah, so you're proposing you're happy with the 3,500?
Yeah, it seems a
Yep.
sensible figure.
Or seconder for that? Carl? So proposed by Graham, seconded by Carl. All in favour?
Lovely.
Right, lovely. Okay, moving on, 11/382. Approval of payments. Members to approve payments made.
Was that unanimous, that one?
It was, yes.
It was. Right, so starting again, 11/382, approval of payments. Members to approve payments made by Yeovil Town Council, 1st of March 2026 to the 31st of March 2026. 1st of April 2026 to the 30th of April 2026, and the 1st of May 2026 to the 31st of May 2026. Right, so the documents for this were circulated separately, so
Circulated twice.
twice in actual fact, yeah. Okay. Yeah. So any comments? We're happy to approve those?
Yeah.
Agree? Right, okay. Right, item 11/383, revenue budget outrun 25-26, to consider the outrun position for 25-26, to consider the recommendations from the service committees and to consider transfers to and from reserves for executive as attached at pages 28 to 47. So, yeah, please, Amanda.
So we've been to each of the committees and the committees have agreed to recommend to executive the transfers into the reserves, and we explained at each of those meetings what they were for. If you do transfer everything to reserves, then the underspend for the financial year would be just short of £150,000, and that equates to about 4.5% of the overall budget. So that's a good budget that the council have set. If you look on page 29, you can see that those earmark reserves and the balances, we hold just over £1.68 million in reserves. And then on page 30, it shows you that we have over £1 million in general unallocated general fund balances. So I'm happy to answer any questions that anybody will have on that report.
Any questions, members? No? Get through this. Okay, right, so the committee is recommended, 1, to note the report. Noted. 2, to note the overall outrun for Yeovil Town Council in 25-26 was £3,149,465. £2,624,870 net expenditure and £524,595 movement into reserves. The explanation of significant variances as highlighted in Appendix A.
Noted.
So, happy to note? Okay. 3, to approve the movement in reserves as listed in Appendix A. So, we're happy to approve? Okay. 4, to note the new earmark reserve, tennis court sinking fund, holiday play scheme, allotments, SALT grant, open space, and a Nine Springs cafe refurbishment. So, everybody happy to note that?
Noted.
5, to note the earmark reserve balances.
Noted.
And to note, item 6, and to note the unallocated general fund balance. Everybody happy to note that?
Yeah, sorry, and I apologise, this is sort
Okay,
of
go on.
out of order in a sense, but one of the reserves is the community infrastructure levy. And to my knowledge, that's the only time-bound reserve we have, that it has to be spent.
The
Community
yes,
infrastructure.
so we keep a log of when that needs to be spent for, and we bring it forward to use.
Yes. Could I just check when we are told about that? When do we get reports on that?
Ordinarily, I would report it to the June committee. I will bring it to September, so I haven't reported that to you yet.
I really do not want to give that money back.
No, and you won't be in a position to have to do that either.
Okay.
Sorry for that, Jeff.
No, that's fine. It's good. It's a valid point. Right, moving on. 11/384 budget monitoring update to consider the budget monitoring update month 2, April 26 to May 26, attached at pages 48 to 64.
Okay, so it's still very early days for this financial year. At the moment, we're predicting an overspend of 31,000, which is the equivalent of just under 1%. But throughout the year, we will be more accurate in our predictions. So I would say we're on target at the moment.
Any questions? No? So the committee is recommended to note the report. So happy to note that?
Yeah.
Okay, noted, right. 11/385, bank reconciliation, members to approve the formal bank reconciliation as at 31st of May 2026, as attached at page 65.
Yep, so the good thing is it reconciles, so what's in the bank, we can reconcile to what's on our financial system. We had at that particular time £200 in transit, and that is a change order that we have to order from Loomis. So I'm happy to say it balances.
For you, Chair, sorry, I'm having a job here, I've got a hurricane going in the way back, and can you speak up a little bit?
Sorry, yeah, so I'm just saying it balances, so it balances to what we've got in the bank, to what we've got on our financial system. The difference of £200 is money that we had in transit through Loomis, who provide us with our floats and our cash for the premise of various services. Sorry, it is quite noisy. You can turn it off if you want to.
You sort of don't want to do.
No. Okay, I will speak louder.
Or you can always sit closer if you're struggling to hear. So the committee is to approve the report. So is everybody happy to approve the report unless there's any further question? Right, okay. Approved. 11/386 balance sheet, members to approve the balance sheet as at the 31st of May 2026 as attached to pages 66, 67.
Okay, so this shows all of the current assets, current liabilities, and then it matches back to how that's funded in terms of the reserves that we hold and also the unallocated. The good thing is it balances. You may think that's odd, but I have seen a number of balance sheets from other authorities recently that do not balance, but this does.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, lovely. Committee is to approve the report, so any questions on that, or you're happy to approve? Okay, thank you very much. 11/387, Treasury Manager, sorry. Treasury Management Report. Members to consider report by the Deputy Responsible Finance Officer regarding Treasury Management for 25-26, as attached at pages 68 to 76. So, you, Jackie. Thank you.
Yes, this is just a report just to provide transparency and accountability of our treasury management, and it just show our position at year end and the performance through the year. Happy to answer any questions.
Any question? No? Okay, must be.
Can I just add something?
Yeah.
So we've got a very sophisticated cash flow now, so we know exactly when we need the money. So Jackie's able to, and the team are able to deposit it on a day-by-day basis, and that's what's enabling us to get good returns. The budget was £100,000 last year, and Jackie and her team is able to create a surplus of 69,000, so 169,000 through our money, which is really, really good because it's being looked at every day. So we're making your money work for you to maximum rates that we can, that are safe investments as well.
So the executive is recommended to note the report. Everybody happy to know that?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Oh, this is going to be a terrible one. This is the next one. 11/388 Mayor's Accounts 25-26. Members to consider a report by the finance assistant regarding the mayor's Lucy. Luke. Sorry, Luke. Regarding the mayor's account for the municipal year 25-26 as attached at pages 77 to 78.
So firstly, Tony has kept excellent records throughout the year. We were very impressed with what he's done, with a good audit trail to receipts and other payments that he's made and has received in. So on page 78, it's just a pictorial form of where his money went to enable him to carry out the role as mayor.
Yeah. Any question? Anybody got any questions on? Yeah.
Or not currently related, but the mayor's regalia, the issues based on that. The mayor's chair of that, is that move forward?
So we are looking into getting it done. We've just been very busy this month, so that is on the schedule to be carried out. So
The remaining.
So the mayor's allowance is the sum of allowance that's given to the mayor to carry out his duties. The regalia will be any refreshing of that comes under the different budget.
On one of the previous items, there was a figure for the regalia, wasn't there?
So any underspend on the mayor's account will be recycled, and then at the end of the tenure, it will be paid back any underspends that are still are there.
Okay.
This just offers transparency because obviously we're giving somebody a sum of money that we know exactly what has been spent on, and that was picked up on the auditor that we should do that.
Bro,
First thing I said, I think this is not, we've not had this before as clearly for the likes of me. This is very transparent. I do like it. I noticed the 3,000 then spent. My suggestion is that is carried forward so that later in the year, the mayor will be able to invite Yeovil Town's championship winning season in for a dinner or something. Because
we all live in hope.
we do, and now we've got a mayor who can actually fund a dinner, so that would be good.
So if I can also add, our finance assistant pulled that together and used a new tool, which was really clear, and especially if you see it on colour online as well, it looks even better.
And the mayor is to be congratulated on his fastidious account keeping and So well done. Thank you very much, Tony.
Well, just seeing as how 1 year of engagement is over, if I could just say something with reference to Saturday night. The council came out in very good light all round and its officers for the civic evening and the charity concert, which was put on by for voluntary groups and organisations and businesses, which has helped this council and worked with this council and worked with them last year. It's an excellent evening.
Well, I have to agree, actually. I mean, I was there and it was a very, very good evening. So, yeah. Right. So the committee is recommended to note the report. So we happy to note that. Thank you very much. Right. 11/389 transparency. Members to consider the report by the Chief Executive, Town Clerk, regarding transparency as attached at 79 to 82. So
the team have put an awful lot of work into this. So the transparency code is a tool that allows the public to see exactly where the money is going and other bits with regards to the grants we give, the constitution, our asset register. So any expenditure that's over £500 will be listed on that report, and the members of the public can go in and have a look at it. The same with the procurement cards. We've, as I said, done lots of work, and there is just one element that we can, if you look on page 82 of your report, it is RAG, so red for what's outstanding, yellow if there's a bit of an issue, green if it's compliant. So all but one area is compliant, and the bit that isn't at the moment, and we are working on it, is the procurement information. And what's created us a lot of difficulty is obviously we transferred services over from Somerset Council, so we don't have a register of all of the perceived contracts that we've got come through from them. So it's a manual exercise looking at our spend to have a look to see what is contracted, and that will take a bit of time to do. But you can see we've already made a good start on that, and we will have that in place by the end of this year.
okay. Any questions? No. Rob, did you?
No.
Okay. Right. So executive has recommended 1, to note the report and the progress made to date.
Noted.
And 2, to endorse the completion and publication of the outstanding data sets required to achieve full compliance with the Transparency Code 2015. Okay.
Yeah.
So everybody happy with that? Yeah. Right. Good. Thank you. 11/390 internal audit, independence and programme of work review 2025-26 retrospective. Members to consider the report by the Chief Executive Town Clerk regarding internal audit, independence and programme of work review as attached at page 83, 85. So
Okay, so this is a retrospective request, and that's because when we came to fill in the AGAR, as part of sending that AGAR through, we also have to demonstrate whatever the flavour of that particular year for the auditors are. And this year they've taken internal audit, and we have to show that we've reviewed their independence and also the work programme. So we know that our auditor is independent, so we use Rosie Darkin. And she's not involved with doing any of our accounts. Sorry, Ashley, I will speak with her. She's not involved with doing any of our accounts other than auditing it. And she's not related to anybody from this council. And she's doesn't have any relationships in any way with any members of the council in terms of personal, professional or financial. So I think it's very clear that she is objective and independent. And then in terms of the programme, a programme was agreed, and you can see on page 85 the amounts of days she had agreed to spend in the number of areas. And you'll see next time when we bring the audit into the final internal audit report that she has spent all of those days. So in effect, I need you to satisfy the external auditor to approve all of those recommendations that are given in the report.
okay, right. So the executive is recommended 1, to note the report.
Noted.
2, to note the 2, to note that formal consideration of internal auditor independence, and the audit programme of work was not recorded during 25-26 financial year. 3, to undertake a retrospective review of the internal auditor's independence for the period 1st of April 25 to 31st of March 26. 4, to confirm it is satisfied that the internal auditor was independent, objective, and free from any actual or perceived conflicts of interest during that period. Okay. 5, to consider and endorse the internal audit programme of work for 25-26, noting that it was developed in consultation between the Deputy Responsible Finance Officer and the internal auditor and is proportionate to the Council's identified risks. And 6, to agree that this consideration is recorded in the minutes as evidence for audit purposes. So do we all agree that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Through your chair to CEO, have we reached that threshold yet where we're going to reach a different level of audits?
So yes, we have. However, the regulations have now increased that threshold to 15 million. So we had reached it, but we've kind of don't have to do the full reporting because the threshold has been changed. And I think the reason that has is that many councils now have reached that, and there will be a really big problem to engage external auditors to actually do that external audit work. And I think we need to be really clear that the external audit, although it says it's an external audit, is a limited assurance that they can give us, because obviously they don't come in and do everything. So they are heavily reliant on our internal audit to do all of that work for them. And next week when we have full council, we'll be reviewing the AGAR and you'll see the internal auditor's comments as well.
Okay. Moving on, 11/391, health and safety policy, members to adopt the health and safety policy as recommended by the Property and Community Committee at its meeting held on the 9th of June 2026, as attached at pages 86 to 123. So we got any? Go on, Carl.
Yeah, just a couple of things. I've already spoken to Tim about them, so he is aware of them. But a few amendments in section 2.6, where it mentions the frequency of the working group meeting is 6 monthly, and in 3.3 it says it's quarterly. It both should be quarterly, just to bring it in line. Also, throughout the document, it mentions the steering group. He did say to me that will be changed. The steering group and the working group are the same people, so another amendment there. What was the other one I picked up of? There's a few changes that I've spoken to. And the other one is it talks about the PPE being CE approved. It should also be UKCA approved as well, to bring it in line with the UK standards since Brexit. But always been mentioned to Tim anyway, so the other way.
Okay, thank you, Carl. Thank you for that. Anybody else? No? Okay, right. So the executive is recommended, 1, to note the report, and 2, to adopt the health and safety policy. So
I'll move it.
move that. So second that. Right. So all in favour of adopting that policy? Yeah. Thank you very much. Right. 11/392, Armed Forces Covenant Pledge. Members to adopt the Armed Forces Covenant Pledge as recommended by the Property and Community Committee at its meeting held on the 9th of June 2026, as attached at pages 124 to 125. Any questions on this? No? Okay, so the executive recommended to adopt the report.
Again, I'll move it, Chair.
Okay, got a second for that, Carl? Again, second that? Oh. Right, so all in favour? Any against? Any abstention? Councillor Richards, did you vote? Did you vote? Or did you
No, I
abstain?
didn't actually.
So you're in favour, right, so that's unanimous.
Can you put his hand up, or is that a mouse pointer on the screen?
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
That's my mouse, sorry.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Right, that's that. Right, next item, 11/393, unacceptable behaviour policy. Members to consider and adopt the unacceptable behaviour policy as attached at pages 126 to 132. Over to you, Amanda.
Okay, so we are finding that there is a lot of inappropriate behaviour to our services on the various locations, and we felt that it was time that we put in a policy about what we could do to safeguard our staff when they're out and about. So the unacceptable behaviour policy sets out expected standards of behaviour, and that is from anybody that will be dealing with any member of staff. It defines the various different types of unacceptable behaviour, and it also sets out how unacceptable behaviour will be managed. And it delegates to me as chief exec and the person that sees all the staff to determine the appropriate response in accordance with the policy, and it's got to be a proportionate response as well. So I'm happy to answer any questions that anybody may have.
Carl.
A few quick things I've already spoken to the chief exec about. One of those was about right to appeal. So there should be something in the policy for right to appeal, and if it does get appealed, it should be either maybe the staffing committee or independent working group who are not connected to it to sit and look at that appeal. It also, I think it's in 8.1, it says that it may be recorded. That should change to it will be recorded or will be documented. Also, one other thing I didn't mention is chief exec, but considering vulnerability, so something in the policy about vulnerability for people with mental health and all that, so they're not targeted because of something like that. It should be just in the policy for, I think, for legal reasons. And I put 6.1, so I don't know what that is for. Which is fine. What's 6.1 say?
So is it the word may again? It
said may.
So
And may take action.
May take, also should be will take action.
Yeah.
But apart from that, I'm quite happy with this policy and I'm willing to move it.
Okay. Sorry, you mentioned about the right to appeal, and I really understand that. Can we say that the staffing committee will do that because it's often would be an offence that had happened against a member of staff? So if we pop that in, and then subject to the change.
Yeah, subject to
So do we have a route? So if it's something the staffing committee can't resolve, it'll go to our HR partner that we use.
So we could get advice from an external source. I can put that. Yeah.
So that it's not an internal. If it can't be dealt with internally, we have got an external route to deal with it as arbitration.
Yeah, that makes sense. Right, so
I'm going to move that.
Carl's moved it. You've got a seconder for that?
I'll second that with those
amendments. With those amendments, so it's right. So that's been proposed with those amendments. So, everybody in favour? Yes, unanimous. Thank you. Right, okay. Right, so 11/394, urgent decision, recruitment of a democratic services officer. Members to consider the report by chief executive regarding an urgent decision regarding the recruitment of a democratic services officer as attached to pages 133 to 137. So
okay, so this is brought to you as part of our standing orders where I need to report to you any urgent decisions that have been made. However, whilst we're on the subject, unfortunately, recruitment was unsuccessful. So we found that candidates didn't have any relevant experience, which was quite disappointing because we felt that there may be some people out there with democratic services experience from other authorities that may wish to apply for it, but unfortunately we didn't. So that leads us into having a bit of an issue that we still have the issues that are still there. So what I'd like to ask and propose to you is that we employ an admin officer on a scale SCP 7 to 17. This particular post was an SCP 13 to 17 with the view that we will train them in-house and mould them to how we want them to carry out the work. I think that's the only way we can get what we need. If the risk is, if we went out for further recruitment, we'll find ourselves in the same position and we still have that backlog of work that we need to get done. So if the members are happy, that's what I would like to propose.
There are very specific reasons for why this was required. It would feel to me like going for an SLR may not, certainly in the interim period, deal with kind of problems that we're facing.
So,
That's the thing.
yeah, but we would be in that risk stage anyway if we couldn't get anybody. We'd still have all of that work to do. So what we're saying is that we will train them and send them on the relevant courses and still keep the topper level of that pay scale to what we were going to pay them. And then once we felt that they had progressed, they had more scope to get to where we needed them. And I just think you coming into a council not understanding about democratic services and the requirements for agendas and minutes, we can send them on a Silka course and actually get them to come to the meeting so they'll have on the job training as well.
Just a quick question. You say you're going to give them training. I'm just wondering how much this training costs, and because my worry is if we train them and then they leave once they're trained for a better job. So are we going to say something like, once you train you've got to stay with us for?
We have training, learning agreements with any member of staff that undergoes training with us anyway. So that will be prorated depending on what stage they would leave. We would hope that they would want to stay and we can develop them and grow them to how this council would want that post to operate, and everyone will benefit, not just us as staff, but you as councillors as well, because you'll have that extra person to go to support as well.
Yeah, my only concern is if we train them, as soon as they're trained, they leave us, we've had all that money at risk.
Yeah, so they would have to sign up to the learning agreement.
Brina? Oh, you? Oh, right, okay, thank you. Councillor Richards?
I'd just like to add, we have gone out to public law firms advice, and we've done that in the past. Is there any way we can set up a go-to situation where they would be relevantly on board for information and help? Or is this a scope of works that you're considering that doesn't fit that criteria?
Well, we could, but it will cost you. If you're talking about £250 an hour from a public law firm, you'd be going through what we're suggesting. We would pay an individual. If it was very complicated, then we would go out to public law. I think that that's probably more advanced than what this particular position would need.
Sorry, man, this is about democratic services.
Yeah, but you can get external people to support that. I'm not sure that you would necessarily go to a law firm, but you could if you wanted to.
Graham?
Yeah, so Chair, I'm surprised, not at the decision. I'm aware of the reasons we went down this path, knowing that there are individuals in Somerset in the last couple of years who are democratic services officers who have lost their jobs. It's disappointing because there were some excellent officers there, and I really was hoping to see somebody. However, all of those began with no experience, and this is a very specific job. You really have to do it to learn it, unless you've been doing the job elsewhere. But I don't see any problems with it's plan B, and I think it's a good plan B. And I think we should crack on.
Yeah. I got to say, I've got to mirror really what Graham was saying, because I really was hoping that some people that I knew in former South Somerset District Council and some excellent democratic services officers would have maybe wanted to come, but some of those are elsewhere on part-time jobs. This is a full-time job. Certain people at a certain point in their life. But I think, and we did, the chief exec and I have discussed this, and I think this is probably the best route for us to go down in the interim, really. In the lack of anybody coming, because this is a very specific role.
It is a very specific role. I think with this particular role, it's specific to democratic services, but also specific to how we work as a town council, that actually, because we are a large town council now, it's probably quite new for town councils to have this particular role. I know that Bridgewater and Taunton have recently employed somebody to do it. But I do think it's a role that everyone will benefit from, and also will save me from some work, so I can do stuff that you pay me to do.
Yeah, great.
Okay, right, so no further questions? So the committee is recommended to note the report, so.
And also then to agree to my proposal of an admin officer.
Yes.
that we would train to become.
It has.
Tony and Graham and Tony.
Yeah, okay, so all in favour? Thank you for that. It's not on here, mate.
No, no.
Yeah.
You're against.
It was an afterthought.
Yeah, yeah. Not on.
Ashley's against.
This is excellent, by the way. Right, so next item, 11/395. Amphitheatre water fountain operations members to consider a report by Chief Exec regarding the water fountain and in the amphitheatre town centre, attached at pages 138 to 140.
Okay, so in the previous hot spell, we had many complaints to our officers that the water fountain wasn't operational. We did try and chase Somerset Council to find out why, and you can see within the report the reason why they were switched off. And as a side, Ian Timms, the manager, had requested whether we would be able to give any support in order to ensure the water quality is to the standard that's required for health and safety. I've spoken to the property and community director, because if the committee agreed to do this work, it would be his team that would probably be doing it. And he's suggesting that we would need to give appropriate training, clearly define what the expectations from both parties were, make sure that we are insured for it. And also we should be asking for a financial contribution from Somerset Council to be doing that on their behalf. Happy to answer any questions if I'm able to on the subject.
Yeah. Tara.
Yeah, I mean, Amanda brought this forward to the committee, obviously. It's actually becoming a bit of a popular area, which is amazing with what's around it at the moment. But, you know, you are seeing more and more families going and using the area, which I think is really important. I think, however, what this report demonstrates is the lack of management of that whole area. And what we've seen so far, the only usage of that area so far has actually come from the Oldham Town Council itself. So while I'm kind of supportive of this, I have put a motion forward for next week's meeting, which is for us to go into discussion with Somerset Council to take on the full management of that area, because I think at local level we would be much better managing that, getting engagement from local communities to use that area. So I've recently heard that actually Somerset Council are now managing that, so it's on from 9 or 10 till 4 o'clock. So in theory, they found the right resources, unless we're doing it somehow. So I would actually be inclined to decline this and actually turn it down, because I think there's a bigger piece there around the TV screen, the use of the triangle, the potential use of that mobile area, and better management and better engagement of our local communities to use in that area.
Point of order, Chairman. This is not an item for this committee. Now it's time, Councillor Casey said, he's put forward an item for the council next week then. And it's we are had an issue with the water supply, which was explained, and officer spoke to the council. That's what we're resolving at the moment. We need to resolve that. Other issues need to go to the respective committees to be discussed.
Right.
I don't see a contradiction in, I know we're not meant to discuss what's going to full council, but but I don't think that this in any way undermines. It's a step in the same direction. I entirely agree with councillor Casey that things run by Yeovil tend to work better than things run from another town in this county. And therefore, I would like to see, and I haven't seen the motion yet, but I might well be minded to support it. But I don't see how doing this, this is a response to what people in Yeovil have been saying. They've been saying to councillor Casey, they've been saying to myself, they've all been hearing it, sort out them fountains, partly because they thought we actually ran the fountains, but it doesn't matter that the public don't have to understand local government. They just need to know what they want, and our job is to try and provide it, and that this is a step in that direction. Except it's not a big step, but it's a little step, and then I think we send the wrong message by saying, no, we don't want to do this stage, would be my view.
Yeah.
So,
Finish, Greg?
yes.
Yeah.
Just
Gareth and
silence.
So my reason for raising a future motion is does have direct impact. Hence why I raised it. Secondly, to Graham's point, if Somerset Council haven't come forward and confirmed that they were actually going to manage it and make it happen, then I might be inclined to support this. But at the moment, what we've been told is that they will be making sure they've listened to the budget and they will be making sure residents available. Step in at this point.
Yeah. Councillor Richards?
Yep, thank you, Chair. Just to hit onto the technical side of it, what was the footfall design for the usage? Because I haven't got any inclination, I've seen it nowhere. So was it designed for 10 people, 20 people, 250 people? I was trained on water conditioning, captured rules, etc. And I'm very at odds with whether this is being handled right or it's designed right. So is there any information available to us?
Not until we start asking those questions if this committee are minded to progress with it.
Is there a plant room down there somewhere?
I won't be able to answer that question until we start doing the legwork to find out if this committee agrees to the proposal.
So I would say I would really be interested in going to visit it if it's available to us to inspect or at least view it, so we have better knowledge of how we're going to vote. All right.
You do it through the chair, please. Not have a private conversation between yourselves. Thank you. Adrian, you had a hand up.
Thank you. So this isn't our asset. This is a Somerset Council asset, and whilst I want to see that facility used, I want to make sure that we don't go down a path that all of a sudden we by kind of de facto take on those responsibilities. So reading the report, it's good to see that the officers have recommended and identified these in terms of liability insurance, in terms of training. But we need to make sure that we are not, dare I say it, another free ride to Somerset Council. So I heard last week that we were going to take on the responsibility of planters and this, that and the other, which was fine. And now we are seeing this. So I also see a bit of a conflict in terms of what Councillor Casey was saying. On one hand, Somerset Council are saying, we've listened to you, we've sorted it. But on the other hand, we've got this proposal in front of us. And from what I can see, there's no guarantee that we're going to get our cost. And therefore, it's a principal matter for me in that it's not our asset. And let's make sure that we put pressure on Somerset Council and we don't simply just, dare I say, and use words that you may not like, roll over and accept those costs.
Rob.
Thank you. Yeah, just to address that point in a way, Chair, that I was pleased to see in there that there was a part in the report that said about making a recharge to Somerset Council for doing this, and it's not a freebie on the back of what we can do. It's a recharge at the proper rate, as Somerset Council would charge us the proper rate if it was the other way round. to do that function. And I'd like to think that we get the right money to do that, not just a peppercorn figure, just to look after it.
Well, you're not on the committee for a minute, Adrian, so I'm going to bring Graham in first, and I've got something to say as well myself, so.
Whether it's helpful for members who are not on Somerset Council, it'd be helpful for to explain that decisions about what's in front of us are decisions that are made at an officer level, and they are it is a massive council with massive budgets, and basically I'm not even sure if the lead member responsible for this will be aware of it. However, any decision for the future usage, the future ownership, the future operation, whatever way things go in the future, that is a political decision, it's not an officer decision. So there's two entirely different things going on here. One is operational, and quite rightly the professionals involved deal with it. Any decision about other parts would have to involve would in reality mean a meeting between this council and that council's councillors to go through what Somerset Council believes the future of the Old Town Centre is, and what this council would like it to be. I think we're in danger of mixing the two things up here. And I think that's just the way it operates, but I was trying to be helpful.
Thank you, Graham. Right, Adrian, I'll bring you in, and then I'll sum up on this one.
Yeah, no, fine. Just to come back on and respond to Ed Stickland's point there. My reading of this, my interpretation of this were that we are investigating the recharge, and we are investigating how to get them. Not that a decision has been made, but there's been an agreement that we can do that. That was my point, and if I haven't read it correctly, I will.
Just to clarify.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's about bringing it to you. Is that something you want us to explore? And then it does say in the recommendations to delegate to us, but we would go for full cost recharge to them. So that would be taken into account equipment, any materials that we need to buy, and also officer time with their on costs of pension and NI contribution. So we would make sure that any time an officer had invested in doing any of this work, it would be fully recharged. And we do need to have those discussions to find out what the scope of that work is, to calculate how much time we think would need to be done to carry out that work.
Okay, right, so just for clarification, when this situation, as I like to think of it, starting off with the fact it's not working, we got an awful lot of stick from people in Yeovil. They think it's a responsibility of town council. It's an asset that's in our town. I don't care who owns it at the moment, but it's in our town. So the first thing I wanted then was some answers from people in the know. So I asked for a meeting with portfolio holder, which is Councillor Mike Rigby, and associated officers. Now that meeting is taking place tomorrow. Now I know Adrian, Tara's got a motion coming, but this meeting tomorrow kind of preempts that really, because this is about holding them to account for what reputational damage it does to us as a council. Now, I'm approaching this, one, as a leader of the council, and two, as a divisional member, because it's in my division. Nobody else is kicking off about it, but it's in my division. So, as a Somerset councillor. So, the outcome of that meeting tomorrow will be reported back to the council in as much detail as I'm able to do, because obviously there will be some things that may or may not be able to report back. But once I got some answers from the people that be, and it's not just about the fountain, it's about the use of the triangle, the screen, what's happening with the meanwhile use for the former Glover's Walk area, because what's happening and how I see it is that we're not being included in the information loop as a town council, and we should be, because it's our town. Those assets are in our town. They might be owned by Somerset Council, might be paid for by Somerset Council, but if they're not doing their job, if they're not providing that service correctly, and we're getting the flack for it, we need to be coming to some arrangement with them. I was on South Somerset District Council when that Yeovil refresh scheme came came to fruition and all the aspirations and all the design. Graham was there as well. And we went through every different bit of that refresh program. And I don't want to drag past that, but all sorts of things happen. COVID, delays. It's still not complete in the bottom of Middle Street where they've demolished those two buildings. Well, hopefully that's another issue that's going to be talked about tomorrow. So, you know, we want some, you know, my view is that, you know, it's not all about Taunton, it's not all about Bridgewater, it's about Yeovil, and what we can do, and to make that better, however that comes about. But that meeting's been booked in, and that's the first opportunity I could have to get that meeting with Mike Rigby, but it's been booked in for about 3 weeks now, or since after the issue with the fountains. Councillor Richards.
Yeah, just like to say, if you need a bit of support, I'm quite willing to come down the times I've got.
I don't need any support, thank you, Councillor Richards, and it's a meeting that I specifically asked for with the portfolio holder and the officers responsible, because it's a meeting really that I'm holding as the leader of the town council and as a divisional member. But thank you for the offer anyway. Thank you. Any more questions? Yeah.
I'm pleased that there's a debate going on. We're all there, which is Yeovil Town. We're here today. Yeovil Town. I'm actually happy to change my view and support it. But like I said, I would just want to confirm. Somerset Council have now said that they're going to provision during the weather to make sure it's still running. Do we need to do this? And I would just want to ask that question before we went ahead. But I will support it, but on the basis of working on it.
We were approached as part of my question to actually support them. So I guess we'll just have to find out whether that's still required. I think sometimes people say they're going to do something and it doesn't necessarily follow through. So we will just check out.
I don't want to see if there's fountains going off again.
Yes.
Exactly. I mean, I'm minded to think that we agree this, and subject to what happens from the outcome of that meeting I have with them tomorrow. Like I said, that will be reported back to council, the outcome of that particular meeting. So I'm asking for support to support this at the moment, but should we not need to do it at some point, then we can let it go. Yeah. Happy with that? Okay.
Can we take one block, Chair?
Yeah, if we take it on block, right, so 1 is to note the report. 2 is to consider whether Yeovil Town wishes to support additional monitoring during peak weather periods. 3, subject to 2, to agree officers engaging further with Somerset Council to explore feasible partnership and resourcing options. 4, subject to 2 and 3, to delegate authority to the Chief Exec in consultation with the Chair of the Executive to progress the matter. So have we got a proposer for that? Well, Graham, Jenny, you second that? So Graham proposed, Jenny second. All in favour? Thank you very much. Okay, right. Now, 11/396, exclusion of the press and public. The committee will consider passing a resolution to exclude the press and public from the next items in accordance with section 2, Public Bodies Admission Act 1960, on the grounds of publicity will be prejudicial to the public interest by reason of confidential nature of business to be transacted. So can I have a proposer for that?
I propose.
Yeah. Seconded. Right, so Rob and Ashley seconded. Right, okay. Sorry, Steve. Been a pleasure. See you soon. Don't forget those 3 copies, please. Thank you.